Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game, and it's the preview of West Ham United's Cup Final as we take on Spurs at the London Stadium on Saturday. Gonzo, kicking off as always, what's your thoughts on them?
Well, my thoughts on them as a club and my thoughts on their form are probably two different things. Their form has obviously got 3 wins following a couple of losses. I think the biggest news of the day for Tottenham is the fact that Khan, whatever his name is, the Fulham one, is not going to be buying Wembley, which is huge for Tottenham and particularly Daniel Levy, because the costs of their stadium, the new White Hart Lane, let's call it that, have absolutely skyrocketed. And they were really, really banking on there being NFL gridiron American football there, and that's that looks like that's going to happen now, because if Khan had got Wembley, they would have done their contracted games and then he would have lost a big income. But anyway, so they've played at Milton Keynes, they've played at Wembley, they've not played at their own ground yet, and obviously they're coming to play at our ground, so they're a bit nomadic. Starting to come back into form though, but maybe with a lot of people out on international duty, maybe that might help us a bit.
Tom, what's your thoughts on the white side of North London?
It's like a bit like Gonzo said, really. I think you've got 2 different ways to look at it. If you look at it as a football fan and as a West Ham fan, so obviously we're not exactly best mates with Spurs, are we? But from a footballing perspective, look, they're a great side. They've got a fantastic manager. They've got a real spine to the team. They've got some world-class players. Christian Eriksen, for me, up there with Kane, I think is one of the best. They've got 3 of the best centre-halves in the league. Creative players in Lucas. You've got Dele Alli as well. So there doesn't seem to be a position where they potentially seem light on or that they need upgrading. However, it was a bit of a surprise to not see them sort of add any additional players in the transfer window to help with the Champions League or whatever. So, no, I think Spurs, they always blow hot and cold. They never seem to, always, well, not in the harshest term, but, to say bottle it or whatever. But they have a history of not doing well when it comes down to the wire. And unfortunately, I think that although they probably have one of the best squads in the league this year, I don't think that they'll get anywhere close to where City and Liverpool end up finishing.
So what is a good season for them, Tom? If you were a Spurs fan or a neutral, if you like, what would you consider a good season for Spurs come May?
I think they have to be realistic. I think you have to look at that, like I said, the Liverpool and Man City squad and their ambitions and how well that they're playing at the minute. So the fact that they've cemented themselves and kind of almost just replaced Arsenal as a top 4 side, really. The thing is, there's a few of those teams that seem so strong at the top of the table. I don't think people were expecting Chelsea to be as good as they were. So it's going to be a real scrap for those top 4 places. And I think that maybe a good cup run and actually for them a chance to actually see them winning some silverware, maybe the FA Cup or going far in the Champions League or something to keep the fans happy, but finishing in top 4, I think is probably Spurs' best outcome this season.
Gonzo, you spoke about the Spurs off the pitch. Now, on the pitch, how far away from winning the title do you think they just are?
Oh, a million miles away. I mean, don't believe the hype. There's a direct correlation between what I discussed earlier with the stadium and the fact that they bought no players. As I say, don't believe the hype that Levy said that they couldn't quite. There is money there for players. I'm sure there's a little bit, but they will not be breaking the world transfer record or anything close to it anytime soon. And surely that was the reason to move. Tom made great points about all those clubs up there, particularly Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man City, who are gone really in terms. So they're really battling it out with Arsenal, who look reinvigorated under Emery, and of course a big factor is going to be whether Mourinho keeps his job. If Mourinho keeps his job, Spurs have a better chance of qualifying for the top 4. So that's going to be interesting. But in terms of top 4, they've got it really. They've got a job on their hands. Title a long way away.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what you two are saying. I think they've got one of the best managers in the league. I think their defence is one of the best in the league, although Lloris has looked a bit dodgy this season on occasions. But then for France on Friday night, I think it was, he pulled off one of the best combination of 3 saves in a row that I've ever seen in my life. Their centre midfield is where I think they're weakest, and I think that's what's going to cost them ultimately. I think they've got arguably the best finisher in the league. Kane and Aguero are a league above everyone else, in my opinion. They've got the defence. I think it's just the middle of the part that they're missing, which is, I'm surprised they didn't buy in the summer. I know there's a stadium cost and that, but I do think for about 2 seasons now, maybe even 3, I've been wondering come pre-season, I've been thinking if Spurs get in the right players, they could actually go on and push for the title, but they just haven't got the right players in. And you do sort of wonder how long is the likes of Kane and that going to put up with no silverware, etc. They're not on massive contracts either at Spurs. And every summer I seem to think this is the last year they're going to have Kane until he looks elsewhere. And time's running out, I think, for Spurs. If they don't open the checkbook, etc., I think those big players might look somewhere else. Tom, who do you fear more, Spurs or Chelsea?
What, as a direct threat to us, or just in general in terms of
in general? If you were playing them on Saturday, which one would you fear more?
If I'd have said before the game, I think I've seen Chelsea at the start of the season, I would have said Chelsea, but we all know what happened there. But I always feel like Spurs can be a bogey team for us as well. So, you know, I guess when all of those are performing and they're on song, I guess you could say that, you know, Tottenham were the bigger threat. But then again, look at the weapons that Chelsea had and how they performed at the start of the season. So it's a trick question, I guess. But you probably have to say Spurs, knowing that the result we had against Chelsea the other week.
Gonzo, everybody thought Spurs would do better than Arsenal this season, but Arsenal have hit form at the moment. They've finally got the best out of their strikers. So who do you fear more out of the two sides from North London?
Why didn't I get Tom's question? I think it takes a hell of a toll moving stadium. It really does. I think probably Arsenal at the moment, I have to say, with a smile on my face.
Well, I don't know, people will be smiling listening to this if it's Spurs. On Saturday, obviously, West Ham are at home, so that means we have our boats open before and after the game. If you click in the description, there's two links. One's for the boats, another one for our free predictor game, which we're going to come on to in a little bit in a minute. But if you want to join us for a beer and a barbecue, we'll see you there on Saturday. The team news, Arnautovic and Snodgrass are both fine after their international duty. Both were recalled early. One was planned, one wasn't, but they're both fine for Saturday. There's also little rumours that Hernandez and Andy Carroll might be the squad on Saturday. While Hernandez is more likely because he's had a training game, and Andy Carroll seems a lot less likely. That's the rumours anyway. But Tom, any changes from Brighton? Brighton, we lost 1-0. We played the same team for 3 games in a row. Or would you stick with the same team for 4 games in a row?
No, I wouldn't. I think there's only one change I would make. I'd watched as much of the game I could. I was down the pub watching it through sort of, I guess, squinted eyes. I was quite drunk. But from what I can remember and what I've seen of the highlights and the replays and everything, it was just Masuaku. His defending and his first goal, his lack of awareness defensively is appalling, actually, for what happened there. And I think that, look, I mean, we've said before that he's brilliant going down that left, but every single time his one biggest sort of failure almost, or something that he can't seem to pick up or learn on, is his defensive awareness, his defensive ability. And I think that maybe this game might be suited better to Cresswell. But then again, last time Cresswell came in, he got burnt against Adama Traore when he played. So I really feel like we do have an issue over there at left back. But I think after the mistake that he made against Brighton, and it's not the first that he's made this season either, he's made a few like that. I feel like maybe Cresswell deserves a chance to come back into the side and almost take it with both hands again.
Gonzo, myself and you have always sort of preferred Cresswell at left back, so I'm going to assume you'd like to see that change as well. But is there any other changes you'd like to see on Saturday?
No, I don't think so, but I'd like to see, I think Obiang needs to up his game. Obiang's a lucky boy, and as much as there's no competition there, what's his name, Fernandez is off at Fiorentina or whatever. I think if there were other people there, then Obiang's place might be up for grabs. But and Wilshire's injured, of course, so we're limited for options. But I would like to see him up his game, and you're right with your assumption about Masuaku.
Yeah, I completely agree with you too. I'd like to see Cresswell come in, but other than that, it's as you were, really. It is frustrating. I agree with what Gonzo's saying. I think it would be nice to be able to change Obiang, but there's just no one to bring in. You'd have to really go wild card and pull Snodgrass into centre midfield or something. I just think it's too risky. I don't think it's worth it. Although I would like to see us be a bit more proactive off the bench if things start going wrong. I thought against Brighton the subs weren't the best, and I do think that getting Snodgrass on for set pieces in particular is important. And it's weird you put them in because you don't really want to take off Anderson or Yarmolenko because they're both really threatening. So that's where you look at your centre midfield park. But Lanzini's obviously not back, and we've got no suspensions unless you're an under-18 coach who went on a London march. You are suspended from the game on Saturday. Gonzo, Hernandez and Carroll might be back. If there was only room for one on the bench, which one would you go for?
Oh, blimey. I'd probably go for Andy Carroll, which I shouldn't do, really. But it just offers something else. Although how much Pellegrini would be encouraging the team to not get long to the big fella with a ponytail, I don't know. Maybe he's not got. Let's not seen him for such a long time. Maybe he's not got a ponytail anymore. He might have gone bald or something. You don't know. It's like the lesser spotted squirrel. I don't even think that's an animal, but you just don't see Carroll anymore. But I would probably put him on there because if anyone's going to change the game with not magic, but just with something effective into the box, as Tom alluded to earlier. They got excellent centre halves, although I think Sanchez possibly is not playing. I would take Carroll over Hernandez.
Interesting. I would go for that as well against Brighton. I was wishing for Andy Carroll to be an option off the bench. Tom, are you going to make it 3 and then we're all sort of bidding off our $100,000 a week goal poaching Hernandez?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think what both of you said is right. It just does offer that something different, and not a lot of teams have that powerful, forward that can come in and win the ball in the air and dominate centre halves like Carroll does. And he always loves the goal when he comes back from injury at first off before he gets injured again as well. So for me, I think truly when he is fully fit, I do believe he can be an impact sub off the bench, because when defences are sort of flailing or flagging after 70 minutes and he comes on and all of a sudden you've got that extra body in the air, elbows and banging into you and willing to put his body on the line to go get it, I think he can be such a game changer. So I know it's a shame for Hernandez, but I feel slowly as if he's been ousted as from the team, or he doesn't have as much as a place, and that's a shame for someone we thought really was going to be our 20th season goal striker. But we have Arnautovic in that position now, who probably might get to 20 goals a season. So I think the difference from that is having someone like Carroll up top.
And more interesting, more reason I want Andy Carroll's our referee on Saturday is my favourite one in the league, Martin Atkinson. He allows a physical game. Get Andy in there. He will allow the pushing and shoving, but he also allows cards. So make sure you're backing cards on Saturday. Gonzo, does this game suit us more than the game against Brighton perhaps did in terms of the way we're going to set up, and more importantly, the way the opposition is going to set up?
I think so. I just before we popped on here, I had a little look at the stats on my phone, and they tend to like to enjoy more of the possession in all their games. They've enjoyed 60% of possession, Tottenham, which a stat popped up on the app, and I think that's quite telling, because that's not how Brighton were playing against us. Brighton got their goal and very well and invited us onto them. And they're going to come and they're going to attack, but I just feel that probably will suit us more. There'll be more open spaces, and I think they've got a few injuries as well. So yeah, we can't fear these teams, particularly after what's happened against Chelsea, particularly after beating Manchester United. These are our rivals, and I think with Noble in there and Rice as well, obviously is the new Ginge, as they say. I think they will be letting the rest of the players know that this is a really big game for West Ham.
Earlier on in the show, Tom touched on that we are a bit of a bogey side for Spurs, and he's quite right. We have won 14 Premier League games against Spurs, and we've not won more games against anyone else in the Premier League. We have won 14 against Southampton as well, however, so that you could argue that they're our favourite opponents in the Premier League. We've got a little free prediction game, as I mentioned at the start of the show. It's by F5 Sports or 5 Ports. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's free, and you can win a little bit of cash. The link is in the description below if you wish to join in. I sent it to Gonzo earlier and said, Gonzo, play this because you can win some money for simply joining up for free. So, Gonzo, the 6 questions. Have you entered, and have you got your answers there for you?
Well, I need to win some money because, as you know, I lost some money betting against England and Spain the other night. I've got my questions in front of me, and I quite like this game. So, what are we doing this? You asking me, or
ask you? Question number 1: what's the outcome of the game going to be?
Well, I've changed my mind. Okay, so I've just sort of got more into the feel of it. I'm enjoying myself. I'm looking forward to the game. So I'm going. The result will be it'd be a West Ham win.
West Ham win. How many goals are you going for?
5.
Bloody hell. Well, I think we know. At the end, I tend to ask people for the score prediction. I think we can kind of guess what Gonzo's going to already. Which player have you picked out to score in the match?
Well, yeah, 5-0, obviously. Arnautovic. Arnautovic is going to score. For this quiz, you get 6 questions, right, for this thing, and then you place your, and then you get some money when you're right. Is that right, Gio?
Well, whoever's got the most points wins the money, basically.
Okay, well, I'm going to win the money, but go on.
How many corners have you gone for? This is the interesting one. I think this is the one that's going to trip most people up. How many corners have you gone for?
9. 9
or fewer, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, 9 or fewer.
That's a good shout. We don't get very many corners. Pick an event. On the question, there's lots of different events, such as a substitute, a score, an own goal to be scored. Which one did you go for?
West Ham keeper to make 5 saves.
Well, that's a banker. And the last question is, which player will be carded on Saturday afternoon?
Mark Noble. How can I not win the money with those answers? How can I not win the money? Give me the money. Link in the description below. Click on it.
Links in the description below. It's completely free to enter. It takes literally a minute. You sign up, you confirm your email, you click your 6 answers, bam, you're in the pool. Whoever gets most points wins the cash. I think there's 50
Actually,
quid.
don't click on it. Don't click on it because then I win.
Well, click on it. But anyway, Tom, Gonzo's quite confident. Are you confident for this one?
Yeah. We'll gloss over what I said in the last time against Brighton. Yeah, I'm not optimistic because like I've said to you before we came on, I think our success might come in the cup in a couple of weeks because I feel as if their priority is the Champions League, and I think they'll bring out some of their youth players, whereas we can focus on that cup more than the league. So I think we'll give them a good game. I just feel as if, when we've played against the top sides, bar Chelsea, and I'm excluding Man United from that because realistically you can't say they are at the minute, I don't think. But when we've played against the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal and those teams that are quick, that can, on the break, with potentially Lucas and Lamella, and I can just see them going forward, maybe us playing the high line, that we could be, in for a long afternoon, especially towards, late on at the end of the game. So I do believe that we'll give it a go, but I think that our success comes in a couple of weeks in the cup against Spurs.
Gonzo, you sound optimistic.
Yeah, a humdinger, 3-2 to West Ham.
Why? What makes you so optimistic?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's just our conversation, fellas. The more that it was when Tom started thinking about it, and you confirmed it, because I was thinking this is not like Liverpool away, where I can barely remember us ever winning. I've seen West Ham beat Tottenham loads, and I was thinking that when Tom said it, and then you confirmed it with those juicy stats. That's why I can remember us beating Tottenham loads, because we do beat Tottenham loads. So it's sort of made me a bit more fired up about it.
Our cup final, isn't it? Yeah. I'm reasonably optimistic as well. It's going to be an interesting game of chess on Saturday between Pellegrini and Pochettino. Actually, I think we've got two good tacticians in the dugout, and there's not going to be any of this long ball, hoof it up and see who can head it and get a goal type thing. I thought Brighton turned into that a little bit. I thought against Brighton, I thought the tactics sort of came second, and first was all about who could dig in and really go for it first. But on Saturday, got two really good managers in the dugout, and it's going to be interesting to see how they set up to combat each other's strengths, etc. I'm quite relaxed, actually. I'm not confident as Gonzo, for example. I think he's just pure away with the fairies, to be honest. Got no reason behind his win whatsoever. But I'm a bit more like Tom. They're a very good side. You have to respect how good they are, although you don't like it, it's hard to say, etc. They do have some world-class players. I use world-class very loosely, but Eriksen's probably the world-class player, although he's not fit on Saturday. Kane's a world-class finisher. He needs one chance, he'll take it. The one thing that's given me a little glimmer of hope is against Spain, those Spurs players in the starting 11, there was four of them. They were knackered. They had to give 110% in that game. The four of them, Dyer, Winks, Kane and Trippier, they ran themselves into the ground. I'm just hoping that that's going to help us a little bit. But you can sort of flip that around. If you were a Spurs fan, you'd be saying, well, hang on a minute, Kane got two really good assists and stuff. He's going to be confident, he's going to be buzzing, etc. His chest will be out on Saturday, and he always scores against us. I think he's got 6 and 6 against us, Kane. He always scores. We talk about Lukaku, actually it's Kane that's the one that always gets a goal against us. But Gonzo's going 3-2. Tom, what are you going for?
2-1 Spurs. Not to be negative, but like you said, I see Harry Kane getting a couple of goals, and it being a long afternoon for us. So I think Arnie will get on the score sheet, maybe claw one back and make it interesting at the end. But I believe in the league. I think they've got too much for us on Saturday.
I'm going to go for 1-1. I think we'll give them a game as well. I think we've got plenty about us. We've got, strangely enough, as much as I like my stats, we've only scored 8 goals this season in 8 games so far, and 6 of them came in 2. I thought we'd scored more than that, actually. It feels like but then our front three are finally clicking. We're now seeing our first choice front three, looking a little bit dangerous, etc. So I do think we'll cause some problems. I think they're going to cause us problems as well. Our Betway charity bet, £50 on, 300 quid to charity at 6-1. West Ham not to lose, less than 12 corners in the game. A goal in both halves in the last 3 Premier League games. Gonzo's right, they've won the last 3, but Spurs have also been leading at halftime in those 3 games as well, so which means they've scored. So I'm going for a goal in both halves. It can be either side to score, and 4 or more cards in the game. And my own little bet, not in the charity bet, is Yarmolenko to get a booking. I've been doing that pretty much every single game, and he's going to be against Danny Rose on Saturday after playing for Ukraine, 180 minutes for Ukraine. He's going to be knackered. He won't keep up with Danny Rose. I'm getting on him getting booked. Gonzo, say good night.
Good night.
I'll see you on Saturday on the boats. Tom, say good night.
Good night.
And remember, if you want to come to the boats, the link's in the description. You want to play that free prediction game, the link's in the description. Gonzo, Tom, Gio, Hammers Chat. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll be back on Saturday night, hopefully celebrating a 15th win for West Ham over Spurs in the Premier League.